Welcome back. What problem are you solving? The world's greatest startup podcast.
Bet you'll hear today. Hey, man, you got to live the life, right? You got to,
Live it up.
if you ain't going to pat yourself on the back, if nobody's going to pat yourself on your back, pat your own damn self.
That's right. Welcome back. Welcome back.
That's right.
As always, getting right to introductions. Ty, what problem are you solving this week?
So, big one. Last Monday, I got let go from my job.
Ooh.
Yeah. But it's good because I was able to negotiate some stuff for me and the family. So it gives me an opportunity. For instance, both my parents are elderly. So it gave me an opportunity to go and take care of them, do some work. My boys, my wife, we're going on vacation soon. And it'll help me find my next best thing. In the meantime, I'm pulled together a panel for a conference that's trying to look at solving the problem of getting underrepresented founders, particularly at HBCUs and their ecosystems, getting them introduced to tremendous opportunities that heretofore they couldn't do it, i.e. getting government work. How do I match the government monies with this community that has lots of intelligence they just never met? So I'm working on that problem this week. Thank you for asking. How about you, John?
Yes. What problem am I solving this week? Just trying to find the hours in the day. I don't know. It's a new routine. That's the problem I'm solving. Kids are off of school now.
Uh-oh.
So when you work from home and have 7 people and 3 pets in the house, finding a quiet space to work is a little hard. So new routines, adjusting, pivoting to new environment. That's mine.
Good luck with that there, brother.
Speaking of too many kids, Adam, what problem are you solving this week?
Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day.
All right. Personal, professional. Personal. I ran out of brisket
Uh-oh.
at the graduation, last day of school, Father's Day annual barbecue. So is that a good problem? Is that a good problem to have or a bad problem? You know, I had product market fit. I used to have to.
You had a scaling problem.
I used to have to beg people to take some leftovers, and so then I had a storage in the fridge problem. Now I ran out, and angry customers problem that didn't get fed. All right, I'll recycle the same 3 problems. Ecosystem problem, front door of an ecosystem. How do you get baby startups to, raise their hand and go to the right ESO, entrepreneurial support organization, or next thing, be it a pitch competition or a resource or a funder or a mentor? We've seen some of those organizations go from 0 interviews to 100 interviews, but that problem is still broken. So the nascent startup problem, I judged, not to drop it in, but the TechTown Customer Discovery Showcase. So I want to talk about that a little bit. We were
nice.
maybe gonna get some of those folks on tonight, but maybe we'll get them next week. All right, that's long enough for an intro.
Nice. Is that like 2 truths and a lie? Is that it?
Two problems. Is a plug? I need a sports and entertainment focused EIR. That's a problem I need solved for a friend.
Interesting.
If anyone knows anyone. All right, I'm done.
Mike, welcome back. What problem are you solving this week?
What problem am I solving this week? I feel like I'm in a big reset right now. Yeah, now we are in a reset mode. Hi, welcome back. So glad to see you. I am just coming off my first mini vacation in ages. Just went to Plymouth, Massachusetts, between conferences. I was at a conference last week. I'm at a conference now. And
Did you see the Rock?
Saw some friends. We went to the Rock. Saw the Rock.
Nice.
Fun fact: even at the Rock, it basically says there's no real reason to. There's every reason to think this Rock is BS. They're like, the Plymouth people landed, and then 120 years later, some guy who was like 90 something was like, yeah. I talked to some of the people on the boat when I was a kid. This is the rock that they told me they landed on, and that's how they got the rock. But it was cool to see the rock. It was cool to see the rock. Um, the beach there is quite lovely, except it has lots of pebbles. But it was good to like see friends and spend time calmly for a couple days. Really, really, really good in that sense. And then work-wise, yeah, trying to get. I don't know, I actually left you a voicemail or voice message in Slack or video. I don't know. Left you something. I'm thinking.
Let's play it for the audience. Let's see. What you
Yeah, but I mean, I'm happy to talk. So Adam and I are working on nascent startups together, and like we had our 100-day check-in, and then I did a little bit more reflecting even after that, and just try to figure out the best way to like move forward. The I think where the project is right now, I was saying to Adam, I feel like we have a leaky bucket, which is great because we have lots of people saying, "Oh, this sounds great. I want to learn more," and then we don't provide any value, and then they go away. So I think like we started it's June. We started in January with 4 folks, and we haven't like they're all gone, and we have brand new people, and it's just kind of amazing to me that Adam keeps bringing people in, which is so wonderful. But I think we also need to figure out a way to like deliver a bit more value, not by a bit more. We have to deliver some value. I feel like we're delivering enough. So yeah, just figuring out how to do that. And I will say, one of the first 4 people, this woman named Carly, she was reflecting to me that I was doing way too. I like doing bespoke manual work at the beginning. That's something I definitely encourage founders to do. And she's like, "You're doing way too much bespoke manual work. You need to start figuring out ways to scale what you're doing. Like, I have like 20 hours of interviews that I want to read and listen to, and I just have not had a chance." And she's like, "You can't do it. You got to have you got to make the materials for the founders to do it themselves. Period." I was like, "Thank you." She's like, "I can't believe that you did it for me. Like, you listened to like all these interviews that I did and gave me feedback, and super helpful. And I was shocked that you took the time."
You can
I'm
over
like, I have no
concierge.
time. I owe beyond over concierge. Yeah. So
Interesting.
yeah, but
Well,
those are some things I'm working on.
I think that's one of the sort of meta lessons that's been a thread here. It's like the currency. We are all trained, all 4 of us, in doing things that don't scale in order to learn,
At
but
first.
not necessarily as a loss leader to compensate for lack of demand, right? So they're 2 very, very different things, and the solution can look the same even to an experienced founder, which is, yeah, we'll do it ourselves to provide extra value. I'm
Yeah.
guilty of
You know,
it too sometimes, but
you know what
different.
I'll say to that? Sorry, this is how
What will you say to
Adam
that,
and I
Mike?
Adam and I are often in violent agreement. And I'm just basically want to yes and you, and I'll say like, but my buddy, I'll give a shout out to my buddy Dave Martin. I was reflecting on this with him, and we're both like saying how we feel like we're at this point in our careers where it's not that we never make mistakes, but like when somebody points something out, they're like, "I think this is a mistake." We're immediately like, "Yes, that's it," and we're able to course correct. And it's as opposed to like, when you're fresh out of college and someone's like, "I think you're making a mistake," and like you have no judgment as to like if that's right, like, or not. Like, not every time someone tells me I'm doing something wrong do I like immediately, am I like, "You're right, I gotta change." But it's like it's just this it's almost like a key in a lock, kind of like, or like a peg in a hole. Like, yep, square peg, square hole, bing, like that works. And it just, so yeah, it's like we're gonna make mistakes just like the founders we're trying to mentor. And I think the value of our experience is that we're able to use our experience.
Yeah,
Like,
you're going to eat your own dog food, right? That's what I think is really fascinating, right? Because we brought you on because you are literally focused on nascent or baby startups, and you're not afraid to fail in front of the clients because you're trying to prove the concept works, right? It is an actual learning process that you go through, and it's very humble to see that, that transparency.
So I'm the executive coach type, looking at what people say and what they don't say. And there was a very big inhale, exhale that you had at that moment, Mike, when he did that. Was that in concurrence or is that in countervalence? to what
Counter
John said.
violence.
Yeah, the counter
I
concurrence.
feel like I feel like I'm not being messy enough and I'm scared shitless. Like Adam and I
Interesting.
recorded our 100-day check-in, and I feel like personally, I've debunked this with you, but I feel pretty shitty about it. Like I don't think we sound interesting or coherent, or I feel like there's it's just very, very messy. And
But isn't
I
that
said that I was gonna publish this, and I was like, and I it just yeah I'm okay, sharing ugly things like we applied for I applied for us for a fellowship where 1,600 people applied for 3 slots, and of course we didn't get it. So whatever that is, 0.03%. Like that, I'm happy to tell people, it didn't work.
Eh,
But the
statistically,
ugliness of building this exactly. We were in the 99.7% of people that got rejected. But yeah, no, I would have liked to have. I don't know, it's hard to figure out where the line is between oversharing and showing and being vulnerable.
okay, that's a good question. So that's a good point. So vulnerability as a key component to growing, I think, is an important part of what we're trying to teach everybody that we become involved with, right? In terms of a startup, because if you're not out there and saying, I'm going to lean out over my skis a little bit, and I'm going to fall down, but what we provide, and I think that either to them or for ourselves, is the ability to have somebody say, okay, fine, that was cool. I'm gonna help you get back up. Now, what did you learn, and what you're not gonna do again later on? Because if you do it again later on, that's on you. My dad was country, right? If you go around the block and a dog bites you, it's the dog's fault. You go around that same damn dog bites you, it's your fault because you knew better.
In a less eloquent way, one of my favorite quotes is, "You only make a mistake once. After that, it's a choice."
That's it.
You guys remind me of one of my favorite quotes. If you trick me, shame on me. No. If you trick me, the point is I can't get tricked again.
Yeah.
Former President Bush.
Thank you. I was wondering if I butchered it too much in order for no one to get it, but you got it. So cheers. Dr. Pepper.
So do we have to, in terms of a nascent experiences, we're having people kind of jump in and is it our responsibility to allow them to struggle? Is it our responsibility to allow them to fail a little bit? Or is it our responsibility to tell them not what to do?
I mean, personally, I feel zero responsibility in any sense. Like it's the founder drives the ship. One of the worst experiences I've had was when one of my mentors, I had a transportation startup that was struggling, and this guy was like browbeating me with what to do, and I was just like, oh, it was so uncomfortable because it was like you're supposed to be helping me, and I know you're trying to help, and like the power dynamic it was such a mess. I should say, maybe, and it could be useful for our audience as well, especially if Ty's bringing out a bunch of new folks, hopefully. What do you guys do? Can you just remind me?
Individually or?
Sure, no, elevator. We're talking about mentoring founders, and I know Adam pretty well at this point, so I can bucket him, but like I wasn't sure what you guys.
What do I do? I never have a good answer. What do I do? You let them go next.
What is that? Like Adam Burke elevator pitch. By the way, I'll just as a quick aside, I actually gave an elevator pitch for Nascent Startups in an elevator at the conference last week, and it was really funny. I didn't realize
an actual elevator pitch.
And because we were in an actual elevator, and I was on the fifth floor where the conference was. We had to go down to the bottom. Like I was talking to this woman, Lisa Costello from Prologis, who does like innovation for them. They do like industrial warehouses and stuff. And I was telling her about and she was like, "Oh my god, that was an elevator pitch. You nailed it by the time between like when you walked onto the elevator by the time we got down." I was like, "Awesome, I'll take it." Anyway,
all right, do both. Elevator... Do both. Nascent Startups first, then me second.
Okay. No, I mean, nascent startups, the idea is that there are startups in this world that have customers and there are startups that have no customers. And I believe that if you have a startup with no customers, you have wildly different problems than the startups that have customers. And there's a lot of material and resources for startups with customers. And I think there's a gap for founders that have a startup with no customers. And so we're trying to build resources, tools, a playbook just for that use case.
Interesting.
That's it. So that's my nascent, and yeah, I define nascent as the kernel of an idea, of a business idea, but no customers, no product, and no funding. Whereas most materials are targeted, I would argue, at early stage startups that have initial customers, products, and funding.
I'd like to come back to that. No products, no funding, no customers. I think it's a very interesting idea. I can tell you what I do. Prior to
sorry, Adam, you're on pause.
Prior to me getting let go, and I think everybody has a hustle, you know, in the hood. And I'm not from the hood. Don't get me wrong. I grew up with cows in my backyard, but in the hood, everybody got a hustle. I had an uncle who had a milk truck. He was a truck driver. He sold tires. Oh, you had a hustle, right? And so my 9 to 5 was one thing, but my 9 until I went to sleep was a whole nother thing. And for me, it's really about helping people who never had access or had limited access to these resources, this capital, these networks, find those networks. And so, for instance, how do we help? I got a really good one. So I'm on the non-dilutive side. In other words, you know, the SBIRs, SCTRs. That's where John and I worked for a long time. That's where Adam got connected with us. I had a young, she's now Dr. Young woman, come up after I was doing a piece, and she said, you know, I hear you talking about these SBIRs, but I have no idea. She's PhD in computer science, has no idea what an SBIR is. That is unconscionable. She has no kidding research, no kidding. You know, to get a PhD, you have to find something that you're really good at that nobody else did. And I think that to not have the capacity or the resources or the monies to convert that to a commercialized product is a shame, because it's beyond just creating generational wealth. It's creating generational impacts, right? Because now you're shifting an entire community's impact for the world and for themselves, and not just through money.
We're going to put it, I love what you're saying. I want to put a pin in it and then we'll come back to it, because that is fundamental to part of what I want to do with nascent startups.
What's
John,
an SBIR? What's SBIR? I know you can get $2
small
million
business.
Innovation, SBI, Small Business Innovation Research. It's basically a process to get non-dilutive, in other words, money that is free, not really free, but it's not tagged to venture capital. That starts firstly with what they call phase 1, which is, I got an idea. Do you have anything? No, but it's on this piece of paper. Okay. What do you say? Well, it kind of does this and it jumps and it circles. Okay, we'll give you $275,000 to do that. If you can then get to phase 2, they'll say, okay, we're going to help you build out an MVP and start down the path of finding customers, mostly, you know, somewhere in the government. They can give you $1 million to $1.2 million, or 750 to $1.2 million. After that, they have something called a phase 3, which is in very light terms, please stop swiping the credit card now, which gets you to what John and I would remember as a program of record. So now you are integrated into an organization's ongoing budget. That's all. And it's
Nice.
good money. There's
a lot of government money.
A lot of government money. It's harder than venture capital in some ways, but it helps to reduce the pain point of building your product. So it reduced the risks of your MVP, reduced the risks of first market, you know, your first customer, all that risk. So when you go like, I need to get some money to build this thing right. Now, what do? You jump in, you go to a VC and he's like, yo, I got a thing. They be like, what you got? Trust me, I got a thing. Here's the thing. I need some capital. Okay. Then you go for it. Pin in it. Go. What are you working on, John? Like,
I do a little bit of everything, but I'm a recovering engineer, bureaucracy hacker. I think it really summarizes it really well when you look at what DJ Patil wrote when he served the White House as the first federal CTO. Dream in years, plan in months, evaluate in weeks, and ship daily. Prototype for 1x, build for 10x, engineer for 100x. And most importantly, these last two are really my ethos. What's required to cut the timeline in half? What needs to be done to double the impact?
Boom.
I think that is one of my superpowers. I can help people get out of their own way in this framework.
That makes sense, Mike.
Yeah, I love it. I've not seen that. This is the East Coast West Coast thing working its magic. That's great.
Where do you sit, Adam? You sit like somewhere in the middle, don't you? What y'all doing in Detroit in the D?
Yeah, literally now I sit right in the middle. But I guess
Yeah, you're in Eastern time. You're East Coast.
One of the things we used to do, Mike, is like when John and I don't know if you don't know, you probably don't know this, but John and I, and there was one other person, we used to have we had like Wonder Twins, only we had Wonder Triplets. John was the engineer. The other guy was literally a special operations Marine that served in Fallujah, who was probably the best design thinker like you would ever want. I mean, this guy was just super duper creative and had just asked all kinds of questions.
He could get in your head.
Oh yeah, and I was the strategy guy who would do the helping people get out of the way, only not in terms of the engineering, but in terms of how do they show up. Yeah, organizational stuff. And the three of us kicked some serious butt. We did, seriously.
In the did you mentor founders? Like, what was the deliverable?
Entrepreneurs, mostly in the government space. People that it wasn't part of their day job, but they had really good ideas. How they could actually, do something valuable for the government.
In your speak, they were founders, but they were product founders, like a real product. I got this thing that can make mission happen better. Cool. Is anybody using it? No. Why not? Well, I need more money. This is a real case. I need more money. And I don't know who put that in the LinkedIn user, but we ain't going to go there either in the comments, right? But there's a comment that CIA, but we're not going to comment on that. But there was a team, and you probably have found this in Nascent, that said we need more money to do what? Nobody's
that
using
would
our
solve
stuff.
It. We need more money. We need more runway. We need more venture capital.
Right.
No.
And exactly. You're like, to do what? Well, we need more stuff because nobody's using our stuff. And we're like, stop it. You need to go talk to somebody because you don't even know why you have a problem.
What would you say to that, Mike? If someone said we need more money, that's all we need.
Good question.
Yeah, it's if that's the case, that's a wonderful problem to have. Because it's possible, right? Like if they're like, dude, every time I buy an Instagram ad for $5, I get back 20. Like, yeah, you need more money. Let's get you a lot more money. If you one of the ways I like to think of an ideal startup is it's a vending machine that prints money. So a normal vending machine, you put in $1, you wait 10 seconds, and you get a can of Coke back. And with your startup, you put in $1 million, you wait 5-10 years, and you get back $10 million. But yeah, if they have that problem, that'd be great. No, I mean, to me, it's funny. I was just talking to somebody. They were asking me these very narrow, specific questions, and I'm like, a lot of this, like you were saying with the design thinking, there's a lot of context that you need to understand what's going on. The thing I'll say, and kind of back to the level setting, I feel like when I look at a business, in many ways, I feel like I look at it kind of like a doctor looks at a patient. You, in the sense of your eyes are yellow, that doesn't mean there's something wrong with your eyes. It's something's wrong with your liver. You have jaundice. You have to understand how the systems interact. So if someone's saying I need money, it's like, okay, well, what's the problem? No, we have no customers. Okay, great. Is it that you have a couple customers and nobody can find you? In which case we need to do a marketing exercise? Is it you have people that keep finding you and they don't convert to sales? Is it that everybody who touches your product gets hurt and is saying that it sucks? I mean, there's a million ways to slice it. We got to give Mr. Adam Burke a moment of elevator pitch. The way I would elevator pitch you, sir, is Renaissance man, doer of lots of little bits of entrepreneurship. We got a little bit of author in there. We got some mentor in there. Got like a startup judge in there. It's just all things entrepreneurship.
Sitting in the middle, right in the Midwest. All right, let's tie. This is the part of the program where we feel like we're circling, and then it's like 20 minutes later we're done. Let's connect nascent to the leaner canvas, and we always.
I want to talk about tie and funding.
Well,
I just want to make sure that the pin is still there.
I love you too. I mean, I love this, John. They're talking over one another like, no, I want to do it. Go ahead, guys. I'm just enjoying it.
As long as I get to talk about tie and funding at some point, we'll drive the ship at them.
So let's talk about funding for nascent. We get stuck sometimes. Like the name of this podcast, what problem are you solving? Nascent startups is people in pain. We had Ash on here talking about the leaner canvas, and the people in pain were the early adopters. We acknowledged, in front of everyone, so it's not a secret that the bigger market was for the corporate innovators, not necessarily for startups, to give someone, a market to point to. But it was really about early adopters. The problem that we're like, it's all roads lead to what Mike calls people in pain and what problem you're solving for them. That's the name of this podcast. We go back sometimes to the corporate innovators, the government innovators, because of my fancy friends on the left here. But like for baby startups, nascent startups, idea stage, I know I give you a hard time sometimes. Yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff out there for startups with customers, but some would argue, and this is the fun stuff that we got to before we got cut off last time. Some people listening will say like, yeah, lean startup or idea stage accelerators or pre-seed accelerators or customer discovery showcase or, the local incubator down the street solves for idea stage, not in the government, not in corporate, but for people with the kernel of an idea, no customers. So what's the difference? And I think there's too much of a common denominator where it's like, yeah, you got founders with an idea, and all they need to do is talk to customers and understand the problem that they're solving. At some point, the size of the problem and the frequency, and how big the market is. But like, yeah, let's get tactical for 20 minutes. I guess that's a question to you. What's the unique value? What's the USP or the UVP different from the leanest canvas or the Berkeley Accelerator? I think that's a public record. The Berkeley Accelerator that you're mentoring at, or the startup showcase at TechTown. What's the difference? Is there one step for founders with an idea who are willing to share it? I think the funding problem is one, that there's a trust problem that people just don't want to share their idea. I think that's a separate issue. But people that understand they don't necessarily need $1 million yet, at least for their idea, they might need it personally, and are willing to share. Is there one thing that they should do with the next? Like, what should they do tomorrow?
Are these questions for me?
Yeah, well, they're for everyone, but we'll start with you.
You got something to say?
No, I was just, it's a funny thought, Mike, because I was like, okay, I was kind of wondering if it was a question for you, but Adam, if you had to bring that down, because I got kind of lost in it, if you had to bring it down, what is what is that one thing that you're going for in terms of a question because the leaner canvas, John pulled it up. Is it Mike, how he sees it? I'm just wasn't sure if it was.
Someone has an idea, no funding, no customers. They're listening to this podcast. They're going to your workshop.
What do you do?
They're going to your conference next week.
Love it.
We've all seen hundreds, if not thousands of these. There's 1 million books, admittedly, all due respect to my partner in nascent, but like there are books. You have an idea. Mike and I both talked about The Art of the Start. That's where we, there are resources for idea stage founders, but like there's still a lot of
schmutz.
There's still a lot of waste. Now, assuming that that's not just part of the journey, that you can cut something in half, or you can sort of nudge a founder in a slightly different direction or faster direction, what should they literally do tomorrow?
Well, I have a question, and this goes for Mike and for you, Adam, since you brought it up. If there's no funding, no customers, no product, how do they even know that they even had something to what got them there in the first place? Like, I have an idea. Did they wake up? Because I've said to people, the best time to start a business when you're like, man, I wish somebody would. Right? Is that the point that you're starting? Is that the beginning of the investigation to get them to the point of really unpacking that? Because if it's just me, that's one thing. Or if I wish somebody would, and there's 10 of my buddies that are sitting around saying the same thing, maybe. We had a young man on here, Mike, that he is one of my students. He actually, and guys, he's doing really cool with this thing called Aid Smart, right? His thing was, you know what? Financial aid is screwed up. And the financial aid office is screwed up because everybody has a problem with financial aid. And I was like, time out, my dude. How do you know? Because not everybody is not having financial aid, or the entire school would shut down. You need to do something with that heartache first. You need to go talk to somebody, because if you're telling me that everybody has financial aid problem, then the school would shut down, and it hasn't shut down. That only means a portion of the people have a problem with financial aid. Maybe you need to figure out what's going on with the portion of people that are, and then he went and talked to him. He said, well, I can't do it. And he said, well, it's the kids. I said, maybe it's not the kids. Maybe there is something going on at the financial aid office. Go talk to them. Well, every time I go and press the button, the kids got the stuff all screwed up. I said, now you're on to something, dude. So before you start playing with the keyboard, maybe you need that thing that you think everybody has. You need to unpack that and figure that out. So my question is, when at nascent, when you have those three conditions, what's the first thing you ask them to do? Are you sure? Or are you just you just like a hobby and you just want to fix your own hobby, your own pain? Because that don't scale. That dog don't hunt if it's just for you. Because otherwise you got a whole lot of money that you got to come up with, and you ain't got no money anyhow.
100%. So now you're setting me up wonderfully, Ty. Let's run with it. And we'll tie it into Adam's question of what do you do tomorrow? So just to be clear, there's some people that like to start, like, I don't know how you want to call it, the pre-idea phase. Like, let's the four of us create a startup together. Let's try to find something to build. I am not helping with let's come up with an idea phase. I'm coming, Ty, you set me up perfectly with, why isn't someone fix financial aid? It's broken. Like, I have this what we need is an app to fix financial aid. Like that is the moment that I want to help founders. So if other folks have run ideation workshops, that's not me. Like I am, we need an app to fix financial aid. And so step one, what do you do tomorrow? You do what the name I like to use, I call it a disideation exercise. So most founders that I've worked with start with, they have a product in mind. I want to build an app to fix financial aid. So what I say is, that's great. What you're going to do is you're going to write down on a Post-it your idea for your financial aid app. And then you're going to say, this product idea implies that there's people in pain. And I'm going to write down who those people are. Every single student at the university has financial aid problems. Now you got your two Post-its. You take your product Post-it, you stick it in a drawer because we don't care about it.
You're bringing tears to Ty. You're so poetic that you're bringing tears to Ty's eye.
Awesome. I love it. And so now that you have now you've started to begin to sketch out who are these people in pain. There's a lot of, I'm trying to answer the very short-term question of what to do. There's also a lot of like bigger thinking shifts that I want to drive.
Sure.
Just know that they exist. We'll put them off to the side. So now that you've started to sketch out who are these people in pain, the next thing you want to do is run interviews, which we all know. But the thing that we do at Nascent Startups is I want to turn them into quantified pain interviews. So what that means, and I can kind of show you what that looks like. So there's kind of two pieces here. Again, I'm trying to focus on the short term and not get into the long term, but we have to at least get into like what do I mean by quantified pain and why do we care about it? So the words innovation, startup, they mean a lot of things to a lot of people. So I can only tell you what I mean when I use these words. To me, there's basically two types of businesses in this world. There's breakthrough businesses and there's conventional businesses. If we want to open a laundromat or a pizza shop or any of those types of conventional businesses, the reason I think that they're conventional is most of the knowledge that you need to run those businesses exists. I don't know, like I'm sure you're going to come up with your own great pizza topping and your own proprietary way to like wash laundry. So I'm not saying 100% of the information you need out there exists, but at least 80%. When I'm thinking of a breakthrough business, what I'm thinking of is most of the knowledge that you need to create this business doesn't exist. It's a exercise in self-taught learning. So, hey, let's use our phone to order a taxi, Uber. Like most of the knowledge to create that business didn't exist. Let's use our phone, let's use our laptops, like rent out that extra room in our house. Like most of the knowledge to create Airbnb didn't exist. So between conventional and breakthrough, I very much respect people who create new types of conventional businesses, but that's not my focus. Under the breakthrough side, I would argue that you're trying to have one of two types of breakthroughs, either a breakthrough on the customer side or a breakthrough on the technology side. So customer discovery is what I would think of as what a customer breakthrough looks like. I believe that there's this untapped problem. There's all these people in pain around financial aid. No one recognizes this but me, and I'm going to go create something for these people, and I'm going to have this breakthrough on the customer side. The opposite is the technology side, where everybody agrees about the problem and everyone knows it's high value and nobody can solve it. So if you want to build or Ozempic, like everyone wants to lose weight, no one can do it. So if you invent Ozempic, Mazel Tov, you had a technology innovation breakthrough, or you can do it like a teleportation machine. Like I'd rather be where I need to be in 6 seconds instead of 6 hours. Like that'd all be great. So of these three buckets, the conventional business is not what we're talking about. The technology breakthrough is not what we're talking about. I am interested in the customer breakthrough slice. So why do we care about disideation and going from an idea for a product to people in pain? It's because what we're saying is my idea for a product really is about saying, I think I have a breakthrough on the customer side. And now I need to go out and prove it. And so that's kind of like deep unpacking of people in pain. The other thing I'll say is when we think that we have these people in pain, I have this idea in my mind, I call it the pain to pricing funnel. That kind of loosely implies what the market opportunity really is. So what that means is we're trying to find accessible, empowered people with expensive, excruciating pain. So each of those words I've kind of tried to choose deliberately. Like if there's somebody who has I've sold, I'll say this way. I've had startups that have sold to, people within businesses, like B2B startups, where everyone knows that like the CEO has the money and everyone wants the CEO's time. They are not accessible. like that is a really difficult business to go after. Empowered, you could find a guy in the mailroom who has no budget and solve his problem, but like he has no power to like spend on your solution. So there's a problem there. So you want accessible people, you want empowered people. And then expensive and excruciating, you want it to be high value. You want to solve a $10 million problem. You don't want to solve a $2 problem. And excruciating, just because it's monetarily expensive doesn't mean anyone gives a shit. So you want like an emotional resonance. So those are the kind of criteria that I'm looking for. But if you could hit that, the price basically, the pain starts to imply the price that you can start to charge. So Ty, let's just stick with your friend here with financial aid. He might say, or even better, like before you're talking about SBIR grants, so you could say it's the same thing. Did you know there's $10,000 that the government wants to give you right now? for financial aid or to work on your startup, whatever. Like it's you have $10,000 of pain and you just like need a breakthrough. And there's like all these people out there that have this $10,000 problem. So I would say, how often does this happen? Once a year. Like, oh, sorry, not once a year, just once. It's not a recurring problem, but we can still call it a $10,000. It's a big problem. Like, there's regularly people coming out that have this problem, even if those individual people don't have it every year. So it's a $10,000 problem. So we're going to say we're going to give you something better. We're not going to we can't give you 100% success, but let's say we're able to get you $9,000 of that $10,000 because we're going to write like 90% chance you'll get the 10,000. Like, there's all I wish I had a whiteboard. But there's all these different ways I could theorize to get 90% of the way there. But let's assume that we have a 90% solution. So I'm going to create against the $10,000 total opportunity. I'm going to deliver $9,000 of value that that's great for you, the customer. And so how do we want to split that? Then we'll split that 90-10, and maybe I'll charge you like $800 for it. So I'm kind of, Ty, you keep going in and out. I want to talk to you.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. My camera just kind of pooped the bed. I'm going to go off with my other camera.
We were saying such nice things about the camera before. Now we just feel silly.
All right, so founders. So obviously, I agree with most of what you're saying. So Diana Kander has been talking about painkillers versus vitamins for 10 years. Other people have been talking about agency. I think we have to give Steve Blank, your mentor, credit. It was either him or the Crossing the Chasm for having the definition of an early adopter, someone who has a problem, know they have the problem, actively trying to solve it, has agency, which is what you're talking about, and the ability to pay. So the mailroom. So people like us have been talking about this for 15 years. What do they do tomorrow? How do we tell them to go talk to customers? So obviously I had an answer for this 20 minutes ago, but I don't like to answer my own questions. But what do they do tomorrow? Say they think it's a $10,000 problem. They think it's happening all the time, or they think or it's just, in a couple of years, they like to talk about, I'm not solving a problem. There's an opportunity coming. The market's going to change. So it's not a technology thing. It's a future customer. What's the word you use? I love that. I've been talking to you for a while and I haven't. It's the customer side, customer change or customer pit. What'd you call it? Not the technical side, but the customer side.
Customer breakthrough versus technology.
Yeah. So the customer, so there's a future customer, like they think it's going to happen. They have faith. And they just need to build, if you build it, I'm watching Field of Dreams with my kids. If I build it, they will come. So what do you do there? I mean, instead of just having a debate.
Great. So let's go to the slide. So John, there you go. So this is an example of what I'm talking about with not just searching for people in pain, but quantifying their pain. So we worked with this founder, Carly. She has this idea for this product, Bundle Shop. As a mom, she has to keep buying bundles of stuff for her kids. So she's just as similar as like the financial aid person or whoever. So I'm just gonna skip around to like get to the point. So we said, Carly, go talk to moms, do your interviews. But what's special in this case is we're gonna now quantify their pain. So I'll just jump ahead. So here's what that looked like. So Carly recorded the audio. We went through the audio trying to find signs of pain or not pain. So Carly interviewed this woman, Andrea, and she's like, oh, you had to buy a bundle of stuff for your kid's birthday. How'd that go? She's like, yeah, I bought from Amazon. I bought from Dollar Store, blah, blah. Carly's like, oh, so you just pieced it together? And Andrea goes, yeah. Yeah is not pain. And Andrea's fine. So the idea with this approach is we say, okay, let's take the quote and let's put a dollar amount against it. So how much pain does Andrea have? She has $0 of pain.
Yeah.
Exactly. Keep going. You ask Emily, well, like I've had this problem as a mom. What about you, Emily? Yeah, it was seamless. Seamless is not pain. $0. You ask Rachel, she gets hand-me-downs from friends. $0 of pain. She does not have a bundle shopping problem. Carly interviews Alyssa, and Alyssa goes, I love consignment stores. Alyssa has negative pain, which Adam identified as joy. Alyssa will never be Carly's customer. Like, not even, she's like, again, we're at the top of the funnel, people in pain, because everyone who's a customer started as a person in pain. So we're at the top of the funnel. Alyssa will never convert to a customer. And then there's the last woman, Issa, who for her bundle shopping actually makes her anxious. That's great. So we're going to call it like $1 of pain. And if we wanted to keep going, I have used this successfully to get like specific dollar amounts. So I'm picking like negative $1, a positive $1, just as kind of like placeholder values, because we could go a lot deeper. For context, Issa's situation, she's Mexican. She doesn't know what rain boots are. She finds like the whole New York weather and like getting her kids ready in this different culture really challenging. And so the point here is now we have a list of interviewees and dollar amounts of their pain. And before I was going off this long diatribe about the pain to pricing funnel, the reason that you care about pain to pricing funnel is because if you start with lots of expensive, excruciating pain, then there's a chance you could get a reasonable price if you solve the pain, deliver pain relief, create value. And here, when you plot this, you can see there's no pain. Like there was nothing. Like Carly looked at this and she's like, lots of zeros. And she used this to make her decision that like this was not something she decided like let's stop. But the point of this tool, Ty, before you were talking about as a mentor, what's our responsibility? I feel like our responsibility is to help founders make their own decisions. I would never look at a graph and say like this is a 0, you need to stop. So let's imagine a world where the founder goes another route. So let's call her Carly A, and imagine a world with like Carly B, who looks at the same graph and is like, I love that you like that joke. Dad jokes.
That is horrible, dude. That is horrible.
Happy Father's Day.
And so Carly B might look at this and say, I want to keep going. And so in this case, she might say, well, you know what? There is no opportunity here for the domestic American-born moms, but those foreign-born moms who are living in America, I think that there's something I want to chase after, and I'm going to like dig in. And the cool thing personally that I think with this tool, it's really neat, is it implies on the x-axis that all the interviews are the same, and it implies on the y-axis that they'll have the same pain. And so as you start to refine this, what you discover is no, all the interviewees on the x-axis are not the same. We actually need 2 different graphs, that foreign and domestic in this case are distinct. Or Ty, you might find that like people who have loans like less than $5,000 are in one bucket. People, you're nodding your head. You get the point. I don't know. Like to me, like I'm very, very excited to like work with founders to put their data through this process so that they can quickly come to a decision. So tying this whole thing, can I turn off the presentation now? The thing that I would love to do with Nascent that I think I haven't seen in other places is typically when founders do this type of project, I got an idea for my financial aid startup or whatever. I've seen founders invest hundreds of dollars, thousands sometimes, spend weeks, if not months. That whole thing for Carly took her 10 days and $0. And so that to me is what good looks like. And I think it's pretty unique from what I've seen in other cases. And so I want to do more of that.
No, I love it. That's a very logical way to systematically run those experiments, do the customer discovery, and get a quantifiable out of a qualitative metric, right? So kudos for that. I think that's a great way to start. I think it relates to a question that was put in LinkedIn. Do you feel that you have to deconstruct the vanity metrics to get founders humble enough to understand they have to find the pain? I think you basically answered that question. Is there anything else you want to talk about as far as vanity metrics go from the founders you've seen?
Me? No, I mean, you have to do.
So
I'll say it this way: like the thing with nascent startups, the thing that I'm passionate about is, and since we put a pin in it, and I'm getting tired, we'll touch on this. Ty, like we're talking about funding.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about funding.
And the core, one of the big ideas with nascent startups, or I'd say to any founder with any project, is why now? And why am I telling you that there's an important difference between
Shout out to Paul Orlando. Why Now? He just wrote a book called Why Now.
Yes, our buddy Paul Orlando. I walked the USC campus with him for way too long. He was very indulgent. Anywho, but no, like, why am I talking about this now? Like, why is it important to make a distinction whether or not your startup has customers or not in 2024 as opposed to like 2004? And my argument for that is 20 years ago, the most important thing for your startup was getting funding. Like, as a founder, you have to worry about having at least 5 things, right? You need a product that solves a problem. You need a market of customers with the problem. You need a team to build the business. You need a way to access, like, go-to-market strategy, customer acquisition costs, like, and you need funding to pay for all of this. Historically, 20 years ago, and well before that, the limiting factor was funding. And just like the story I love that kind of like illustrates this so compelling in such a compelling, clear way. Talked to this one guy. He's like, yeah, in 2007, my startup had, like, it was a team of us working for months writing back-end software to be able to accept credit card payments because we couldn't launch till we could get paid. Today, you could get that same service for pennies from Stripe and do the integration in
Instantly.
minutes.
Right.
Yeah. Like I looked on, like I have a post that I'm writing, like links to Stripe's page. It's like, we'll get you going in minutes. You can get paid in minutes. So the point is, what used to, in order to get your business to a minimum functional level, you used to need at least, call it 100K, which most founders don't have. And that same functionality today exists for less than $100. So in a world where funding was crucial, you had to get that initial angel, friends and family, whatever. Like, you wanted to blur the lines between nascent and early. You wanted to pretend you had customers when you didn't. You wanted, to our LinkedIn user who has thoughtfully written in about vanity metrics, you wanted to have vanity metrics, like, because it was really hard as a founder to have clarity when your audience was investors, because each investor is different. And so you're like, I'm going to try to do everything. And I'm going to try to get the money I need to get. And I'm going to try to tell a really good story. And I'm going to make the story like, I just met this guy in the street for 5 seconds. I'm going to say he's my customer. Like, you know, like, it's just, you do ridiculous shit. And which I've done. And I respect the hell out of people who do it, because that's who we are. Why are you wagging your finger? No ridiculous shit. Oh, I can't say the S word.
I've given up.
Let me tell you.
Keep going, buddy.
I am from New Jersey. I was just chatting with a woman from Hoboken, and we were just having the best time. Anywho, but yeah, no, like, it's. I think that there's this shift, and so to the question of vanity metrics, to me, vanity metrics are part of this confusion, like this, like, self-deception. We talk about Steve Jobs and the reality distortion field, like, all of that used to be great. And my argument is it's not. Like, when your most important audience as a founder was external funders, you played the game one way. And now now that you could buy for less than $100 what you used to need $100,000 to do, I think you have a different audience, period. And that audience is you, the founder. You're your own investor. Nothing else matters at the nascent stage. So, Ty, to what you're saying about these SBIR grants and the PhDs, like, if you accept my framework of, you know, conventional business we don't care about, we're looking at either a breakthrough on the technology side or on the customer side, I would say, like, if they're trying, I mean, I would expect if they have a technology breakthrough against, like, a very obvious, very valuable problem like Ozempic, then it's probably like the SBIR grant, or they're trying to pursue something like that. Then I think the SBIR grant is probably a good idea, in the sense that, like, the reason that technology breakthroughs are special in part is that they're expensive. The customer breakthrough, that's friggin' cheap. That's a brilliant insight. And the beauty of it, as we all sit here making a podcast, is the proof is in the pudding. Like if this thing goes viral and it has like 100 views, like, we did it right. like that's it. Like that's all. Like, there's no, like, doesn't matter if you went to Harvard or wherever.
Yeah, it's interesting that most of the SBIR stuff, as you were talking about the difference between the customer breakthrough and the tech breakthrough, where John and I used to live, it was all tech breakthrough. But the problem is they were having tech breakthrough for 3 people. And we would go in and say, how much money did you spend on that? About $10 million. How many people use that? 3. But the balance part is, what 3 are they? Are they the right 3 on the customer side? Is it somebody who's going to be pushing a button versus, somebody? There's literally a story, and I can tell this story of a process that literally went broke for a month and nobody complained, but it was an absolutely important process. Absolutely important process. And John knows what I'm talking about, right? That it broke and nobody complained. And so you have to balance I think the balance in the commercial versus the non-commercial, non-dilutive side is customer tech. This is tech customer. And so you're building the tech. And so John and I would challenge folks and say to the guys that we were talking about, why do you need more money? Because we need to build more stuff because nobody using our stuff. And this stuff was not dollar as high value stuff. I mean, very, very high value stuff. But the problem was you had a broken process where they didn't even know it existed. And so when they went and did the customer discovery, they're like, so why ain't y'all using your stuff? What stuff you talking about? This stuff. We didn't know if you even had that. When they fixed that broken connection, people were like, yo, we'll take and then they came back and they're like, oh my God, we figured it out. And then the organization went, well, here's a bunch of money. And they were like, no, we're okay. And we're like, don't you even think about saying no to money. Because now what you've done is now you've gone from a good technology that now has a market, that has a no kidding market that's beyond 1 and 2 people. That if broken or unbundled properly, can not just hit 1 unit, it can hit multiple units and answer a multitude of questions. And so I think that when I look at the people that I'm trying to serve, which was the question earlier about where I'm at, I have a lot of folks that have some fantastic technology, just don't know where to get how to take it to market, either through the right channels or the right networks, right? Or finding the right amount of money that's not the $100 money, but they've done the research like, okay, now I have something that works. So are you familiar, Mike, with the technical readiness levels? Does that ring a bell? TRLs? Does that ring a bell at all?
A little bit.
All right, so
pretend it's 0.
Okay, so NASA came up with this thing, and John, it's like, what, 30 years, 40 years old now, 50 years old, something like that, that said 0 was, we have an idea that that this paper that we were at lunch and I wiped my mouth was, oh yeah, that was my idea and I stuck it here, with 0 all the way up to 9, where it's now ready, it's been used, it has proven, and it's out and actually ready to be recycled, right? It's now decommissioned. And so we're talking about people that have, there you go, right? We're talking about TR, folks that have TR 5, 6, 7, stuff that's actually been deployed or actually is deployable, not deployed, but deployable. So probably 3, 4, and they need resources. And I'm not going to say money, because it's not just a money game where we come from. It is a resource game. That's time, that's focus, that's network, and cash to get it to 6, 7. There are NASA, if you were to go to technology.nasa.gov, if you were just to Google that and you go to their tech stack, right, they have probably $500 billion worth of really, no kidding, technology that's sitting on the shelf that's been on mission. It's been on, they've flown it in planes, it's on Mars and all kinds of stuff. These guys don't know what to do with it. They're engineers. They don't care. They're like John before John became a startup guy. I like to build stuff. And so how do you find, because one of the things that I've been saying to startups, like a nascent guy, I have this really good idea. Cool. Let's talk about your business model. Who's your customer? What's the thing that you're trying to do? Maybe there's another way for you to get this. So the $100 problem or the $100 value, you could actually go to, Mike, could send some of your people right now and get TRL level 6, 7 technology. If you wanted to have an exclusive license and it's patented, you can get it for $50,000, and that's it. And you can just drop it right into your tech for 50 grand. If you had a startup or an MVP, you can get it for zero money. Nothing. It's already been paid for. It's just sitting on a shelf, waiting for somebody to take advantage of it.
Which, the way you're pitching it makes it sound like it could be good, but to me, like the hardest startups are solution in search of a problem.
I'm not going to. You won't get no argument for John and I at all. But what happens? What would happen if you notice something? You like, and I'll give you an example. There's a guy right now who took one of these solutions. He was not an engineer, he's a bio guy, like a nurse or something, and he was trying to figure out, like, how do we help people with health outcomes? And he did a little research. He said, when you breathe out, if you're in acidosis, if you're in heart or kidney failure, your breath smells sweet. Or if you have liver failure, your breath will smell sweet. So if you ever go by somebody and they look drunk and they have sweet breath, they are actually going into diabetic failure, right? Or liver failure or heart failure, you have chemicals that you breathe out. Well, this guy was like, he went to the NASA.gov site, right? Found a piece of technology that was on the space shuttle to not space shuttle, the International Space Station, to smell chemicals at parts per billion. He's figured it out. He's going to put it on a watch. So instead of sticking your finger before you get your blood glucose, exactly, you blow on it. And now he's going to go with some watch company to figure out how to put it in their watch. So you want to take like my dad is a diabetic, right? And he hates to get finger sticks. So now he has one of those little Libres. You take the thing and stick it on. But what if he had it on his watch and he'd go, and it automatically registers, right? And so for a nascent, I think it would be interesting to say, what idea do you have? And don't go out and try to spend some money. Just go out and just be curious, because I'd be curious about curiosity in nascent startups.
Interesting. So that's a good way to bring it home. Mike, why don't you finish up the thought here?
I'll just, there's, to me, and maybe I'm drinking my own Kool-Aid too much, but like that to me is another big mind shift that I would love to see founders benefit from. So, no founder ever has gone to an investor and said, I got the kernel of an idea, no customers, no product. Would you please give me some funding?
Have you ever seen Shark Tank? That's like half of the pitches on Shark Tank.
They usually have a product. They're usually like, look at my magic product. It is amazing. No, if you ask me, like, what do I want the world to be like in 5-10 years if I could snap my fingers? I would love for founders of nascent stage startups to recognize that they have a nascent startup and to treat it completely differently than we treat nascent stage today, which is the same as early, which means in part treating this, what I believe is an exercise in exploration, and curiosity. And the thing, if you say, and then it's part of why, I try to use very deliberate language, the kernel of an idea, not I have the answer. It's I've got the kernel of an idea and I'm curious and I want to see where this goes. And why is that a radical concept? The curious startup. That sounds great. Maybe we should do curious.
There's our next book.
Nascent startup. Yeah. No, it really, or the curious founder. It's nascent startups for curious founders. Curious founders with nascent startups. It really, and people keep struggling with the word nascent, so maybe I do need to just do a rebrand. As Adam winces. The thing for me is if you recognize funding used to be important, now it's not, or at the nascent stage, it liberates you tremendously. You don't have to. There's no fail fast because it's because you're curious and you're exploring. You can't fail in exploration.
You can't fail at curiosity.
That's not how You can't
Right.
fail at curiosity. You can't pivot, like, because you're not pivoting from anything because you don't have anything, and that's great. Like, you don't have, like, there's just so many big doors that open up when you say, I've got kernel of an idea, no customers, no product, no funding, and I'm trying to figure out, is this the right opportunity for me right now? I'm gonna go measure it. And if most of the world like loves the problem that I want to solve, then like I'll make a decision based on it, and that's it. What is LinkedIn user saying? Yeah, because had to look up what nascent means. Tagline. Okay. maybe I'm too intellectual by half. We should just do curious startup. Okay, Ty. Well, let me know how I have to get the license.
You have one data point now.
Yeah.
So I know that we have like pushed the edge on this, and I'm just fascinated by the work that you're doing. I really like your tool. How do we get access to the tool? Is there you have a website or something, Mike?
So did I tell you about the problem that I'm solving? Yes. No, so we do have a website, nascentstartups.com.
Okay.
So right there, I would love LinkedIn user, haha, $1 paid having to look it up. Exactly. So yeah, please everyone everyone watching this, go to nascentstartups.com, sign up for the newsletter. It gets you access to the mentoring community where you get the wise wisdom of me, Mike, Adam Burke, and John and Ty. We would love to have you as guest mentors as well. Adam runs mentoring sessions every Friday. But the short answer is sign up. It's Quincy. That's who's on. That's awesome. if it's Q from Las Vegas, who I'm thinking of. But yeah, there you go. That's it. Bingo. So yeah, you can see there's a bunch of stuff there that's fun. But yeah, like the experience of Carly with Bundle Shop, we explained that. But
good.
Carly bumped up to the top of my to-do list. I really need to lay out these structures. So I've got what do we got? So this ideation I've done a little bit on. I've got another concept that I'm really excited to publish called the XYZs of a crappy idea, which is basically a yardstick to measure the quality of a startup idea. So I give people the greatest startup ever and the worst startup ever, and every startup idea is somewhere between those two rails. So you can figure out, like, do you have a good idea or not? Which again, like for me, is a tool I wish I would have had 20 years ago, just to have like a sense of what good looks like and what bad looks like. We did this ideation, like quantifying the pain to pricing funnel, all this stuff. Like I just need to like publish and make it accessible so that people can use it. Then they can bring it to Fridays rather than me feeling bad every Friday that I haven't done their homework for them.
Nice.
Gotcha.
All right. Well, cool. Well, thanks for that. Let's go. Final thoughts from Ty, Adam, and then I'll close it out. Ty.
So I really like, first of all, thank you, Mike, for showing up. We're actually going to make sure that we promote this so we get more than just Quincy. Thank you, Quincy. So we can kind of break it up. So we really want to drive these kind of ideas. This was exciting. I put in the private chat, and I thought this was a really good session. I mean, it's a really good podcast session. And you laid out some ideas that kind of challenged my thinking a little bit, and I appreciate it, particularly how you did that. One of the things that we work on is, at least I do, because I'm more the philosophy guy, not the philosophy, the psychology guy. So assuming that you're right, what must be true, right? And that's one of the things that I heard you didn't say, but with the woman with the bundle, assuming you're right, what must be true? Well, here are the things that must be true to let me know whether we're going in the right direction. So thank you for helping me out with that. So that's good stuff. Appreciate you.
Nice. Adam.
I'll build on that a little bit, but don't put me on stage by myself. Just leave me up here with my friends. No, don't do it. Come on, put me back. Oh, thank God. So watching Mike, even though I've been doing it side by side for a couple months, watching Mike go from the 100 interviews, ground truth with actual quotes, to some, I still think we're working through whether it's a quantification or just a negative, neutral, or positive at first, and then an evaluation, but not a aggregate evaluation, but a individual data point evaluation. I think that's the most incredibly powerful thing that we are offering right now. I speak to what Ty just said, what must be true. I couldn't help but wonder, like, yeah, but that assumes that this person did 100 interviews, right? And that's still the hardest part. That's something I've been struggling with for 10 years. On the other hand, there's programs out there. Like, I don't think that's our job anymore. I really don't. I feel like we can't do both. And we have to stop. There are getting people, Carly's programs in Detroit, program maybe in Vegas, like whether they're offering them money or mentoring, or, I dabbled in bribery for a couple of years, as all of you know, and some of you listening might know, like that's not the value proposition. And so there's enough people that are already doing 100 interviews that are struggling with that second. And just watching you go through it live again, I think that's the value proposition for now. Now we still have to figure out, how to either partner with people but I think it's time to stop, trying to get the 100 and start making sense of the 100. I think is what we need to focus on.
I know we're wrapping up here, and I'm happy to wrap. We can just cut this whatever. But John, if it's okay, can I just speak to the 100 interviews thing? Because that's like something I guess I feel really strongly
Oh, there's a pain
about.
point there. Of course. Let's feel the pain. Let's go.
Awesome. So to me, the issue with do you do 10 interviews or 100 or 1,000? It's a heuristic. It's bullshit. It's like it's a rule of thumb. Seems like a good number. Why 100? Because it's round as opposed to 97. It doesn't mean anything. And so another thing that I want to do, if you want to bring up the slide for one more second, is if you start to actually quantify the pain and you have these graphs, like another cool thing with this tool is it lets you know when you're done. And you might be done at 50 interviews, you might be done at 500 interviews, but at least you can identify when you're done, which I would define as you're able to have a consistent x-axis and a consistent y-axis. You have a sense of who your interviewee is. So you start by saying, in this case, like, where are you from? Are you American or are you foreign? And like once you find someone in this case who's foreign, you say, I bet you're really struggling to like figure out how rain boots work and like how to get outfits for your kids. And I bet you spend $100 every month. They say, yep, that's my pain point. When you're able to have a list of, a number of interviewees such that you have enough a confidence to be able to predict what the next bar is going to be. If I interview you and you say you're American, I don't care. But if I say like, I've now funneled down, I know whether or not I can put you on this graph, and I'm going to be able to predict reasonably what your pain is. If I can do that consistently, then I can stop. And so we don't have to have the rule of thumb was fine when it's better than nothing. But I believe, and I need to prove. So let me like actually come with like receipts. But I think that if we get founders quantifying pain and having consistent people and pain, that they'll be able to figure out when they can stop, and it won't be just a rule of thumb.
Love it.
Just real quick, are you familiar with the Norman Nielsen number? The Nielsen group? So just look it up. There's a number that says that as you approach a certain amount after 5, if you get anything after 4, the Norman Nielsen number is it's like 4 out of 5 dentist surveys. If you get the same answer after 4, there's no more significant reason to ask about one thing. You can't ask about a bunch of different things, but if I'm trying to explore this one thing, there's a point at which the number 5 users, right? That there's a point at which the number of interviews you get a diminished return because it'll flatten out. So that just what you said. It's an interesting idea. So it's just math, it's just pure math, which is beyond
awesome. I should look that up. That's great. Sorry. So didn't mean to derail the end, but this is another cool thing.
I love it when people get poked and they're like, oh, I have to respond. So yes, good for it.
What about you, John?
As for me, first thing, If you want to make sure you don't miss any future episodes, youtube.com/@whatpays. Because once you figure out what problem you're solving, you'll figure out what pays. Now, as for the 2 cents, yeah, what I've heard is another take on, and really like your take about quantifying the qualitative. It's evidence strength, right? And there are lots of different ways. So I think that is something that we don't talk enough about in experimentation, is the strength of the experiment. And strength can be done monetarily, like how much are they going to swipe their credit card for? And then there's also, how do you put the things like this hurts, or this, I have friction, or this is painful, or this is annoying, right? How do you turn that into something that's actionable? And so whatever tool you use to do that, I think that's always better than going on your gut. So kudos to you for doing that. Thank you very much for coming on. And Adam wants to
Our
take the last word.
friend David interviewed Craig and Brandy over the weekend on how we tested this, and they talk
David
about
Bland,
evidence strength. David Bland, we threw it up.
You
there.
should get him on the show, Adam.
You just flipped it. You're not supposed to, because then people might expect. You don't like it when I do that to you. Oh. He's coming. Him and Dan Toma are coming, and Matt Damon will be here next.
I'm
week.
holding my breath.
I talked to Dan Toba, and we're supposed to do a follow-up, so I would love to join if I can, Dan Toba.
All right, let's do it. See you next time. Thanks for watching.